New York City's, we had a trade deadline that everyone was excited about. Big moves to come. Lots of hours discussed on many podcasts besides mine, but especially mine. And the big explosion and an announcement of a trade is it's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you, but we thought it was for the good of Nets intelligentsia that we took a step back on the front office pod. Not that it was like a purposely planned thing. It's just we don't want to give the people excess content. We don't want to give you guys a podcast that you download and you hear us repeat and say the same things as everyone else is saying. It's like the games, culturally as a group, the games all feel like they don't matter. Sam, am I bugging?
No, I mean, honestly, like we both said to each other before we started this pod, like if we felt like there was something we needed to talk about, we would have. But sometimes you just get a feel of like whether there's something hot on the Nets hot stove that needs to be spoken about. And I think there hasn't been that much. I mean, like the team is playing well, especially given the circumstances. Congrats to Kyrie about his new kid, which I knew that everybody who was already calling him out after missing those 3 games was going to look stupid, because I had heard Frank Isola say on a podcast, because I guess he lives kind of close to Kyrie or Kyrie's family in Jersey. He basically said, I believe on the Michael Kay show, that he knew that Kyrie was out, but it was for good personal reasons, not bad personal reasons. So I'm happy that all those people now can shut up. But look, today is usually, and yesterday are usually two of my favorite days of the year. I'm a trade deadline junkie. In the years before, Twitter, it was all about Hoops Hype and Real GM and updating those sites. And now with Twitter, it's obviously all about the notifications from Woj and Shams and whatnot. But I'm curious to hear your opinion. I think overall today was a relatively good day for the Nets, all things considered, because I think today could have gone way worse in terms of how our opponents strengthened themselves.
Yeah, they all were afraid to do it. They were afraid to pull the trigger and lose the little pieces that they love. And you know what? For the most part, I have to say fair play on them, because the only team that I really kind of am looking at them with the side eye is the Sixers. If you guys had a chance to get Lowry, a champion, an irritant, a guy that you just know that you put him in a playoff scenario and he's basically gonna either cause controversy or he's gonna make big plays that aren't necessarily basketball plays all the time. Like he just a great leader, and they could have used a guy like that. Well, thank you for participating in Philadelphia 76ers. You're not gonna be able to beat us. I mean, I thought they had the biggest opportunity and they dropped the ball. Like, who's today's big winner for you?
I mean, honestly, there was no team that really stood out. I mean, look, I thought for Miami, I thought doing a test run on Oladipo and giving up next to nothing because Olynyk and Bradley or whatever, I think is a smart play. But I don't think Oladipo is not a guy that I think changes Miami's ceiling that much. I mean, I think it definitely makes them better. But he also
or at all. Like he had no effect on Indiana. He had no effect on Houston. They chose him over Karras weirdly.
Yep. Yeah, that was bizarre. I mean, the Rockets the Rockets are now looking back on the Harden trade, and they're basically left with a bunch of picks where you don't know where they're going to be. And they could have had Karras and Jared Allen, and instead they ended up with Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley and another extra first round pick instead of Allen. Like, I mean, it's just a bizarre turn of events for what the Rockets did. But like, honestly, besides that, I think what you just said is spot on about the Sixers. I think if the Sixers had a chance to get Lowry, and if the Heat had a chance to get Lowry, and I think if the Heat, so the Heat not being willing to give up Hero, I understand. This whole notion that the Lakers weren't willing to give up like Talen Horton-Tucker, who's like the next version of the Lakers Twitter and Lakers fandom building up a player who's like,
and he's not good. I see him out there trying very hard, but he's not good.
I mean, the Lakers have already done this with Kuzma, where like that LeBron has probably wondered what his value is, but like the rest of the league probably doesn't think Kuzma's nearly as special as the Lakers do. And so like I just thought like, I mean, if you told me the Lakers could go into a series with Lowry, I think that just would add a different dynamic for them, which is why I was just holding my breath on the Lowry situation the whole time. But I mean, overall, look, I think the sleeping giants for us, and we've been talking about this on the pod for months now, is like what's going to happen in the buyout market. I mean, everyone's talked about Aldridge. It sounds like it's between Miami and Portland, but it's probably leaning Miami, which is like, okay, that's fine. The Drummond thing's going to be interesting. I mean, he's obviously working out in Los Angeles. Like, I don't know why. I know I was tweeting with Los about this. I don't get why it sounds like he wants to go to the Lakers because he's been promised a starting role, which like I don't know what Marks and Nash have been communicating to him about.
Wait. Who's reporting that?
That's what what a lot of the reports have said is that
because here's the thing. I feel like the Nets have cooled off on him, so this isn't a Nets thing.
Yeah, I do agree. I think the Blake thing definitely made a difference.
I think Claxton is making a difference.
And yeah, no, that's even better.
Not that they are moving with a lot of trepidation with Claxton. I don't even think Nash understands what he's seeing, but we'll address that after. In terms of Drummond, you have to understand there's two media hubs of the folks who basically are the biggest people in national media, right? Most of them come from Syracuse, Ohio State, and a lot of them live in LA, and a lot of them are Laker fans. Just like a lot of things, you hear so much Knicks rumors, and barely anything ever happens with them because there's so many Knicks fans from Syracuse in the media.
Yep.
Same thing with Laker news. There are so many Laker fans. There's so many people working in and around the Lakers and ESPN that you always have to take that stuff with a grain of salt. Now, guess who else was working out in LA? Kevin Durant. Guess who else lives in LA? Kevin Durant, James Harden, and I think Kyrie Irving even has a crib out there. So, going where it's warm in the wintertime is not a surprise to me.
That's fair.
Is he going to probably sign for the Lakers? Here's why I say it's possible, because if it wouldn't be because he said no to the Nets, because the Nets can give him $5 million. The Lakers can only give him, I think, 1.2. I don't know if that peels him away, but $5 million is more than one. If the Nets want him, they're getting him. That's what I'm saying. If they don't get him, then we have to be on a different kind of alert. Like if we get beat by bigs in the middle, and they had the roster spots, and they didn't go get Andre Jordan, because they didn't want to hurt DeAndre Jordan's feelings. I said Andre Jordan. Andre Drummond. And they didn't go get Andre Drummond because they wanted to keep DeAndre Jordan. The plan was to keep DeAndre Jordan in there. Then that's a failure. I think I don't know. Like I'm seeing people like posting stats where it shows that DeAndre, our DJ, the one on our team currently, has better stats than Drummond does. That is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Never. That is like a crime against mathematics. Look, we've seen them play. Drummond is still a black hole for rebounds.
Yep.
DeAndre is laboring out there. He's laboring. The only time that he has a benefit, and even Embiid is going to eat him alive from the 3-point line, is when somebody comes to him and bangs with him in the paint. If you're not banging with him in the paint, if you're nimble around in the post, you're scoring on him. And I just feel like even if let's say Drummond wasn't as good, or let's say they weren't sure that he would be that much of an upgrade, you have the ability to try. So I hope they're putting a full court press on Drummond. I believe if they wanted him, he's coming. I just think things have been going really, really well. And some of that is a little bit of a mirage. Some of it is the league not really knowing not knowing what to expect of Nick Claxton. That they're still collecting tape. And, the team knows that. The team knows that in a playoff scenario, as much as we love Nick, what a great surprise. I mean, it wasn't a surprise to us because basically this is what we said he was going to do. But regardless, for him to actually come out and do it, for him to actually come out and actually be better than what even you or I thought, and we still haven't even seen him with Durant yet. He's been amazing. But I just think a team in the playoffs is going to go, oh, so he can't really go to his right. Or, he's, he's light in the ass. Let's just put bodies on him. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
If Drummond's out there to be got, you've got to go get him. Am I over exaggerating?
No, I think you're totally right. I think you're totally right about the Drummond thing, and I think the key point about Drummond is because I don't even engage about some of this stuff anymore as it pertains to him, is like it's not about how good he actually is on defense or what his defensive metrics are or the advanced analytics, whatever. The Nets have too good of an offense that you have to actually separate the defense from the rebounding. Mm-hmm. And if he secures a rebound, that's another possession that the Nets get, and it's taking away a possession from the other team. And that's like it. There's nothing really else to talk about. The only way that a team will be able to keep up with them is if the Nets are letting another team put up 20 or 30 more shots. But if you have a guy like him, which as you said is literally just a vacuum of rebounding, mm-hmm. That's all that you need. It ends up shortening the game, and it makes every possession that the other team has that much more important. Which is why I don't really care. People are like, oh well, Embiid always eats his lunch because he can take him in the post or whatever. It's like, okay, most people can't guard Embiid. Embiid's going to get, whether Embiid gets 40 or 38 is not going to define a series. What will define a series is if the other team gets 25 offensive rebounds instead of 8 or 12 or something like that.
Yeah, and if you're going to give in the playoffs Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden 2 more shots each, you're dead. That's it. I don't care what they think they're going to get from Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin, he could play small ball 5, he could be big ball 5. Shoot, he's a big dude. But Blake Griffin isn't gonna do that. I fully bought into this. We're an offensive team. We're never gonna be the greatest defensive team in the world, but we are going to blitzkrieg people. We're going to demolish them. In terms of of scoring. Teams are just not gonna be able to do anything with us on defense, trying to beat us by a jump shooting contest, a